It's Rhythm and Soul Radio. I am Marco Nobles. We are in our virtual studio, and today we are joined by an interesting gentleman, singer, producer, writer. My Compiled Thoughts. What's happening, brother? How are you?
I'm good, brother. How are you doing? Thank you so much for having me on your platform. Thank you so much for letting me be here in the virtual studio. We're here, present, and ready to be part of this program today.
Absolutely. I'm glad to have you, man. And there's a lot to talk about. You have the new EP that you just released, so we're gonna talk about all of that. But first, they say what's in the name. So let's talk about the name My Compiled Thought.
Ooh, I love that question because every time I answer that question it brings me back to when I was 13 years old on Tumblr with my first Tumblr blog. So basically, the name originated in an era where I realized I didn't have to conform. You know, what I mean, that was like the principal start of it because when I first got exposed to music, it was when Party Next Door was around. You know,
Hmm.
what I mean, in the weekend, and you hear Party Next Door in the weekend. I was like, oh shoot, this is a band when it's like one singular artist.
Right.
So basically, it started by me having a blog called MyCompiledThoughts, where I was just detailing everything that my brain had in store. And it was also like a part of my lifelong mission to basically compile all my thoughts. And so with the influence of Party Next Door in the weekend, I proclaimed it as my artist name with the
Okay.
intention.
There you go. It is, and it's definitely different. It definitely makes sure that it's not something that's easily forgotten. That's for sure.
That's love. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for that. That's beautiful.
Yes, yes. So you said, as you started getting into music, so at that age of 13, obviously, as early teenager, you starting to kind of really develop yourself as a person too. But then there's, as you go through music, developing a style and a personality. So just a little bit that we've interacted so far, your personality is certainly about love and positivity and how you and then you have the develop that within the music. So talk about that journey for you to kind of create your sound and your musical style that really reflects who you turned out to be and who you've wanted to be as a person as you've grown.
So I think the most vulnerable state I've had growing up was realizing that sometimes a smile is intimidating. You know, what I
Mm,
mean, since I was younger, I've always been happy. I've always been very jovial. I've always been interested in making sure that if I'm in a classroom, everybody's laughing, the spirits are high, and the energy's bouncing. You know, and in the midst of growing and learning and becoming who I am as a person, I've taken up that archetype and also realized that music is the one place where I could find solace in my darkness. You know, because as loving, as positive, and as kind as I seek to be, the darkness inside of me is all of that, but
mm,
opposite. And you know, and like I think someone that I really relate that discovery to is Robert Greene. He describes how for you to truly find peace, for you to truly find balance, you need to be able to accept your darkness. And so music for a really long time was my place to talk kindly to myself, to express those feelings of not being desired, of not wanting, of not being loved, of heartbreak, of feeling like I'm not meant to be in this world. Compounded with with my peers sometimes looking at me and being threatened at my happiness and my jovialness.
mm.
It turned into that. And so my current state in music has been one that aligns more with honesty and just being aware of, although I do present myself very happy, very loving, very kind, which I am, those all make me, because I intentionally am that. It's
Right.
not all that I am as an artist, not all that I am as a person. There is there is darkness in the beauty. You know what I mean? And there's beauty in the darkness, you
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely, absolutely. Which brings me to the new EP, which was just released last week, uh,
Yeah.
last Friday. Um, and tell me the name again.
It's Soul Brother Chapter
Soul
1.
Brother. There you go. All right. So tell me, because this is the second or third EP.
This is the second EP.
This is the second EP. So, um, talk about, you mentioned being able to, express the different sides in your music. So, talk about one, the journey from the first EP to the second EP of Soul Brother. Then talk about what you're conveying in this EP, as a second project. And then the third question,
Ooh.
three questions in one, is why release EPs as opposed to full LPs?
Ooh, 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 ooh. I love every single one of those questions. So let me start with the first one. So what was the first question? You could refresh my brain. I'm sorry.
The first question is the journey from the first EP to the second EP.
So the journey from the first EP to second EP is one is one like The Alchemist. If you're Paulo Coelho, I'm very book oriented and visual oriented when it comes to music. The
Mm,
first EP was my introduction. You know what I mean? I wanted to recalibrate the way people saw me and the way I presented myself. I feel like for so long my compiled thoughts was trying to be an enigmatic artist where like I don't say too much and just pictures and just sounds. And I've always been of the belief that a brother like Marvin would walk into a room, a brother like James Brown would walk into a room, a brother like Michael walk into a room and say, "How y'all doing?"
hmm.
so like, so like the enigmatic artist doesn't necessarily correspond with who I am and what my mission is. My mission is to be a soul brother. My mission has always been to provide the world with some extra soul, some extra love. You feel me? And so from the
Right.
first EP, it was a bunch of songs that I compiled throughout the years. I felt really corresponded with that message of light, positivity, and also a little dazzle of darkness. You know,
Okay.
you have Midnight Cookout on the first EP, which was it's a song about having a cookout in the middle of the night while grandpa's having a stroke. Which is
Yeah, that's a little darkness. Yeah,
and it's like it's also cute because it's also this Bonnie and Clyde story in it. So you have two cross lovers that go to this midnight cookout, and basically they're robbing banks together, and that's all metabolized into 3 minutes. You know what I
mm,
mean? And then transitioning from that first EP where you have that song that I made in, I think I believe I made it in 2020, and it was presented to the world by Kissing Music. Shout out to them.
okay.
The new EP, Soul Brother Chapter One, basically takes all those highlights and basically encompasses them into a single chapter. So you have Bite Me, which is the first record, where I'm basically playing along the lines of BDSM. I want to be loved. You have the theme of wanting to be loved, but also wanting to be loved painfully. You know what I mean?
Mm,
It's like is that you bring up the idea, is love just beautiful? Is love just free? Is love just is love supposed to be consistently sweet? You know what I mean?
right.
So it's me introducing this idea of wanting to be loved while also wanting to be pained. And then you have Pimpin', which is a song about a pimp who gets his girl and essentially is doing 20 years to life because essentially his girl lost track of the mission, and that's
Mm,
like a beautiful story because it was inspired by what's that book, no, not a pimp named Slickback. It was inspired by this book, Iceberg Slim.
okay.
And
Okay.
Iceberg Slim, the book for first time, I could only imagine. I'm pretty sure you were outside when that book first
Yes.
dropped, and like I know how controversial it was to have a book about a pimp, and it's galore like that, you know. And then
Mm,
from there you so it starts off with Bite Me to Pimp into Sweet Vibrance, which is a song about you deserve to be adorned. I feel like everybody deserves to be adorned. And then you
right.
have Castaways, which is a love story about about two lovers on a boat, and basically they just castaways in the middle of the ocean. And then I think I have two more. The Beauty, and then Beauty is the last song on the EP. I'll skip the next one. But Magnified is also the story of magnifying a woman, magnifying a person, being able to be brought up, you
Mm,
know? And then the last song is Beauty. Let me wake up and bring you some tea.
Hmm.
That's like the general concept. So from the first EP to second EP, all you're seeing is just more cohesion. Because I feel like now I'm gonna bleed into your third question, which is why not use LPs or why
Yes.
call them EPs instead of LPs? Which is because I feel like EPs are the nicer way, especially nowadays, to say these are just extended projects or
Okay.
extended performances because the moment so the idea is to have all these little projects, all these little things in work, this combination of colors coming onto canvas. With every EP, I'm presenting to you guys another color, another series of emotions, another movie. And through that attempt of really solidifying myself, I'm sorry, I'm spewing on my words, apologies, but in my attempt to solidify this image of a soul brother and who my compiled thoughts is as a soul brother, I want to really give myself the leeway to not be confined to an LP per se, or even an album, because Soul Brother Chapter One could easily be an album, especially in
Right.
today's day and age. You know what I mean? But I want to also give it the ability to not be incohesive in its own realm. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. And you mentioned it so, but in chapter one, but you want to have the freedom to have it be incohesive in its own way. So, is there going to be a chapter two, or that's open? That there may be a chapter two, or there may not.
So there absolutely is going to be a chapter two. So I'll talk to you about the next few projects I have upcoming. So after Soul Brother Chapter One,
Uh
I
huh.
have this beautiful project called Wildflowers,
Okay.
and it's basically I was inspired by an anime I was watching called Doctor Stone.
Mm,
And basically in the anime, one of the characters brings up this idea, this theme of flowerology. I don't know if you're
okay.
familiar. Are you familiar?
I'm not familiar with flowology. No.
So flowerology is the ancient Chinese practice of studying flowers and the effects, and they have like different themes behind them, like what rose, what flower would you give for a funeral? What flower would you give when you're deeply in love to a friend that's estranged? Like
Okay.
there's a whole set of philosophies behind it. And basically this project's gonna be me uncovering that philosophy a lot deeper and
Mm,
really diving into the beauty that is flowers. Cause I'm also vegan.
okay.
And so I
Okay.
wanna I wanna pay homage to the beauty that in the plants, and I wanna pay homage to also the various artists I also work with. So basically, that on this inauguration, I'm gonna have a gallery. I'd love to invite you. I'd love to get you out here.
Okay.
We have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
talk
Because you
about
are
sending
based in
some.
LA, right?
Yeah, we also have to send you some merch as well. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So definitely I need that information. But I'm trying to partner up and collaborate with a bunch of other local artists in LA and other areas of the world and have a gallery which highlights their views on flowers and what
Mm,
flowers look like. Because intrinsically, if you really think about it, the yoni is the most beautiful flower in the world.
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And to think that humanity starts off with a flower, it's such
Yeah.
a beautiful thought. So that's the basic theme of Wildflowers. It's
Okay.
it's it's an homage to the beginning, the central ideation of humanity. And then from Wildflowers, I have a project called Summertime in Haiti,
Okay.
which
Okay.
is which is again paying homage to my ancestors. I'm Haitian, and
Okay.
so first generation immigrant. And so
Mm,
I want to make a project that highlights the disparities that are happening in Haiti right now,
mm,
highlighting the political unrest and unease, but while also being aware of how powerful we are, not just as Black people, but as
yes.
Haitian Americans and
Yes.
Haitian people as a whole. You know what I mean? The
Eh,
Haitian diaspora has been around the entire world.
and what Haiti means to people of color and to liberation.
Exactly. So I want to make it an upbeat project. I want to donate a good portion of that project to Haiti. I want to be able to hopefully, God willing, go down to Haiti and rebuild with my own hands. I'm talking to my
Mm,
dad who's very politically entwined over there. And so making it a point, he's like, the country, it hurts to think that the country's in such disarray right now,
yes.
but like it's all for his will. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with the way it is right now. It's just meant to be, and we are going to grow and become better humans. And then after Summertime in Haiti, I have a horror album. I don't know. It's not a horror, but a horror album. I tongue twist. And
Okay.
basically it's called Coolie, which is Haitian Creole for runaway. And
Mm,
basically it's gonna be a bunch of segmented stories about fear. And I had this
mm.
one of my wonderful friends named Seamus help me outline a bunch of movie ideas and whatnot. So I'm really trying to highlight that. And I'm gonna end the year off with a bang called a Soul Brothers Winter Nativity.
Okay. So now all of these projects are within 2024. Wow. So I mean, you really take advantage of technology in this age where you don't necessarily need to go to a studio. You can create your own studio and with the right tools, really make it sound like you're at Electric Lady Studios.
Exactly. And I'm technologically adept enough in music creation that I could mix, produce, and master all my own stuff. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really need any outside sources, I mean, to really create the thing that is inside me. So that's a blessing in itself. And so like the last project is really going to be like you said, like think about Nina Simone, think about Prince, think about the amount of content and work they were actually putting out in an era where technology wasn't even advanced enough, where you had to literally print out music on lacquer. You follow? Are you still there with
Right.
me, brother? Like we're in an age where I'm noticing everybody is way more reserved in their releases and
Mm-hmm.
constrained, when it's like it's not gonna be like this all the time. I'm looking at it like this: 2024 is happening. I have my own distribution. I am able to publish my own music. I'm able to promote my own stuff, and I'm able to work with wonderful people like Diana and BCA Agency to help me get the word out, and also meet people like Marco and Rhythm and Soul Radio to help me represent myself and just become a better person. Like if I'm not taking advantage of my gift, because it doesn't last forever, anything could happen to me tomorrow. To think
Yes.
that Jean-Michel Basquiat at his peak died at 27, 28, you know what I mean, with a load of work. And
Right.
and me being at the young age that I am, being not being able to say I have about 15 to 20 projects of my own, it worries me.
Mm.
And like one of the worries I notice a lot of artists has is oversaturation, you know? And I feel like the idea of oversaturation is wonderful, but at the very root of it, it's like you're only gonna oversaturate to people that don't want to see you or hear you. The people that do appreciate what you do and understand and if you do it at high enough level, are gonna appreciate it. I'd rather invest all my energy in making a million songs than a million videos, because I'm not. I'm a musician. I'm an artist.
Right. Now, to that point, in addition to all of your own projects, there are a number of other artists that you work with, produce for, etc. And what I'm hearing is that you, as a musician, you are very visual
Hmm.
with your art. You know,
Hmm.
which leads me to the live performance aspect. And do you translate it? And I think that's a lot of for artists too when they worry about saturation, or past artists have had issues with labels worried about oversaturation. Like a Prince would want to release, you know, 2 or 3 albums a year, but the label would tell him no. And you're saying I have all of this music inside me, I want to get it out.
Hmm.
But then there's also the matter of truly getting to the people, in a live
Mm.
capacity. So how do you look at that, or is that something that you're even concerned with at this point? Do you really just want to get the music out, and the live performance will come when it comes?
So, as far as live performance goes, I have a few residencies coming into fruition by the end of this year. So, I'm
Hmm.
looking to perform more consistently, not just in Los Angeles, but also New York.
Okay.
I also have a really great community in Boston that loves me and appreciates what I do, you know. And taking that into account, I am well aware and I understand how saturation plays a role into live performances. And I feel like the way I translate it, especially right now, when it comes to my live shows, I'm looking to implement more structures and also aware of my budget. You know,
Mm,
because like the reality is when a label comes into play, a label nowadays is more so the financial backbone for a lot of artists. Being self sufficiently funded myself right now, everything
mhm,
is very independent. You know what I mean? I'm literally the epitome of independence. And not to say that I'm not looking for a label right now. Not to say that I'm not interested. If the right deal appears before me, even if the not right deal appears before me, if there's people that are interested in being a part of what I'm building, I'm open to that. And I'm
mhm,
open to performing as much as possible. I think especially to that saying, like I don't see the I don't feel the urge to perform just to perform.
mhm,
The same way I don't feel the urge to release music just to release music. Because I think again, the biggest thing about oversaturation is just doing things just to do things. You
okay.
know, I don't ever want to feel like I'm just showing up just to show up. You know, so when it comes to performances, I will perform at residencies that need me, God willing, because the time is always right whenever it happens. And a few weeks ago, and as far as my live crowd goes, we're pulling in at least 100 people to my shows regularly. You
Mm,
know, and that's just in Los Angeles, and that's not my hometown. You know,
right,
so I could only imagine how many people support my compiled thoughts as a whole, and will show up to a show in Boston and
right,
pay a $15 to $20 ticket. You know,
right.
so I'm really excited, and I feel you. I'm excited for more live shows, and I'm excited for bigger budgets, for getting the
Well,
community together. You know.
it's a growth process, and you look like you're ready to take on expanded growth as you continue to expand the number of projects that you have under your belt
Mhm.
as an artist, but also as a producer. Talk again about some of the artists that you're working with, because I mentioned a
Yeah.
couple of times that you produce. So
Mhm.
talk about that as well.
So I produced so my entire projects I produced for myself. That's the first and foremost best artist.
Right.
You know what I mean? Second, I've had the chance to work with a wonderful artist under the name Shondell.
Hmm.
I produced a few records for her last year. I also set up a few remixes for her. I have a few projects in the works with a few local artists like Lovemore, who's native to I believe Alabama or
I'm
some
familiar with
place.
Love More. We've actually played some of this stuff. Yep.
Shout out to Lovemore. I love her.
Yep. Yep.
You know, so I have a few songs with her. She's on Summertime in Haiti. You didn't
Okay.
know that. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Haitians Unite. I also have a few collaborations with Roberto Murillo,
Okay.
who's the bassist behind Bite Me, which is a single that released for this project. And
Yeah.
oh
Now
my
speaking of
god.
that, I did read that you said Roberto played like 80 notes or something like that, and that's how you and you kind of built all of that to create "Bite Me."
Yeah, so the way that a lot of my songs have been made recently, Robbie will be in the spin of things. So he'll come over, we'll sit down, talk for like 2 hours, and he'll look at me and be like, "Yo, word, I gotta go. My wife's calling me." Shout out to him. He got married a few years ago, and I'll be like, "Yo, bro, don't leave without dropping something." So he'll look at me and be like, "Do do do do, boom 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 boom," and like he's such a phenomenal bassist where like whatever he's feeling in the moment just pours out of him. And me being adept at music production and really producing up a record and figuring out where it has to go. For example, Bite Me, he did like 80 notes. I took like a good portion of those, spliced it together, and was like, all right, this is where the line is. To the point where like I remember when I gave it to my vocal teacher was like, oh my God, I would love to add guitar onto this, but it's so busy. And I'm like, yeah, but that's the spirit of the record.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And even then we had Robbie there, and then I have my brother Shane who comes through and is so phenomenal at what he does. And he's like, "Yo, bro, I don't really know where to go in." And I'm like, "Yo, just add like a haunted essence to this, and you could be as sporadic as you need, but just be right here. This is the time sequence. Just be right here. I'll take care of the rest. You know what I mean? Like I got you." And so like the music production is very much like a big thing, and that was a highlight of the thing, because another song that we did that with was General Lover. I don't know if you have had a chance to hear it, but General Lover was a song where Robbie was like, yo, boom ba doom ba doom ba doom, I'm going home.
Hmm.
And I was like, yo, bro, all right, bet. And he was in the room. He was in the room for General Lover, and it was really dope because I was like, "Yo, does this sound cool? Like, how's it see?" He's like, "Yo, this is pretty good, but I'll see you tomorrow." Come along 2 years later. He's like, "Yo, bro, that was a good record that we made." you know. So yeah, who else is another collaborator? I have a really cool rapper I'm working with called Amen. I also have Anu the Deity. I have some local artists in Boston I'm looking forward to working with. I think the biggest transition for work with me has been the business aspect of the music. You know what I
Mm,
mean? And so like it's also being aware that although all this technical stuff is very easy to me, it is something that is hard for many others.
yes.
you know? Yeah, and that does not the simplicity of your skill, the simplicity of the work that you okay, I'm sorry. The simplicity that you have built with your workflow does not equate to the simplicity of the price tag attached to it.
that
you know what I
that's a
mean?
word. Yeah, you got to slow down and say that. That's a word.
Yeah, and that's the real thing. So it's not to say that I'm not actively working to invest in other artists. I'm not actively working to build other artists up. It's just me recounting how important it is to work within a budget while also being aware that this is my price tag and this is not overpriced, but this is a price tag that is willing to be shifted towards the betterment of the world. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? So that's what I've learned, and that's like been the hardest pill to swallow. Cause again, I'm gonna tell you like this: I love music, I love
right.
creating it, and I love seeing artists thrive, and I love seeing myself thrive. And I believe that nothing happens without investment from outside people. But for those investments to actually matter, the artists have to be aware of the fact that you're investing in them. And that's why I think again I'm very collaborative in my spirit. It's not just thoughts, it's my compiled thoughts. I have
Yes.
Robbie, I have Shane, I have Brad, I have you, I have Diana, I have Ray, I have Justine, I have Damien, I have Junior, I have so many people that have invested in me that I can't look at myself and say my compiled thoughts is a solo project. My compiled thoughts is a solo artist but not a solo project, and that's the
Right.
reality.
Right. Rhythm and Soul Radio. We've been talking with MyCompiled Thoughts. We got to let everybody know. I know you said you started out being an enigmatic artist, but we got to tell people how they find you, follow you, social media, website, Bandcamp, Google, Amazon, whatever it is. Let everybody know how they can find you.
So the best way you could find a brother like me is on the internet or at a few of my shows. Also, I'm building a very great community. I have a bunch of people that love me and also love each other. So you can find me on Instagram at My Compiled Thoughts and anywhere else you're interested in finding me. A quick Google search will lay you across. That's MyCompiledThoughts. Because every day is a wonderful day, baby. And we also have a few hikes in LA. If you're in the LA region, I love to tap in with you. I love to connect. I love to work. I love to make new acquaintances. And I love to meet people. So if you have any time, if you have any funds, if you have any energy, we're also building a community center in Los Angeles to help underprivileged youth.
Mm,
So and we're also working towards to feeding at least 2,000 people this year with my own two hands and my own fundraised money.
absolutely. That's dope, man. We wish you all the best. We will definitely tap in and be doing more and sharing more about not just the music, but but the mission as you continue
Yes.
your journey, on all
Yes.
levels. We
Because the
definitely
mission,
appreciate you.
because I always say, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, brother,
Okay?
but again, the journey and the mission is above music. We are trying to create a bunch of revolutionaries that have the power to actually change the world. I feel like we need a lot more black people that aren't afraid to stand up and staying true to themselves and say, I am black, I am proud, this is my heritage, and these are my people. We are not a monolith. We are very, very, very different, but we're also intrinsically spiritual beings. And it's important to unite on that front. I am a musical artist, but at the end of the day, I am a revolutionary attempting to pave a new way. And that's my speech.
And a lot of revolution is steeped or a lot of our culture is steeped in revolution, and you are one of those artists who is now driving our culture. So we appreciate you, who continue to be supporting you and supporting the music and supporting the mission and the revolution.
And thank you again for giving me a chance to be on your platform and uphold that mission. I appreciate you, brother, for having us.
Absolutely. It's Rhythm and Soul Radio. We've been talking with My Compiled Thoughts. The single is Bite Me. The current EP is Soul Brother Chapter 1. And let's get into Bite Me. It's Rhythm and Soul Radio.
Hey.